Welcome back. With so many visitors gathering for the games in February, concern is growing over the potential spread of germs. It's just one of the many issues organizers are dealing with to keep the event safe for athletes, volunteers, and officials.
Some of the volunteers with the Prince George Canada Winter Games have already taken advantage of the free flu shot offered by the Games.
So offering flu shots to our volunteers is another way that we can actually prepare our volunteers to stay healthy. It's up to them as individuals to decide whether or not they want to take advantage of that. Athletes are coming here to compete, and it would be really awful if we had an outbreak of the flu in our workforce or with our athletes, because it would definitely affect competition or our venues.
The really important reason to have everyone vaccinated is because whether you come down with the flu or not, you can pass it on to the next person. That's the #1 reason that we want everyone vaccinated.
The 2-week event will run smoother with healthier organizers.
Part of staying healthy is making sure you wash your hands regularly. So at games time, if they don't always have a chance to go wash their hands, we'll make sure we'll have hand sanitizers available for them as well. Right? It really is about getting our volunteer workforce through 18 days of the games.
From our point of view, from the Medical Services Committee, hand sanitizers will be in all of our kits. They'll be easily accessible to everyone. Of course, all of our medical people wear gloves. But letters have also gone out to the athletes, coaches, mission staff, which is the team that travels to Prince George with the athletes, asking everyone to please have their flu shots this year, their influenza, and also to make sure all their other vaccines are up to date for measles and mumps and those sorts of things.
Northern Health is working with the Games to reduce health risks at the height of the flu season. After all, nobody wants to see years of training ruined by the flu bug. Dave Branco, CKPG News.
Waste is also a concern during the games, and the city's recycling provider is coming on board with a unique program. MMBC will provide 550 recycling bins to be located at 33 different sport and non-sport venues, such as the Civic Center. Once the games are over, those bins will stay in the city to provide recycling to apartment and multifamily dwellings as part of a legacy.
It's about thinking for the future. So it's not just what's happening during the games, but how do we turn that into a lasting and meaningful legacy? What's so amazing about this is not only will it allow recycling, but it's also about social inclusion, right? It's really important that when we think of Prince George as a community, we have people that live in really different homes and are in different parts of the city, and then we offer the same level of service to all of those residents.
Prince George has always been unique. You're one of the largest communities where we're providing the service directly, and probably the largest where there wasn't any service previously. So I think everything about Prince George is unique, and maybe this just adds on to that.
We told you in earlier shows about a housing crunch in connection with the games, and since that story has aired, there's been a strong response. There are now more than 600 homes or rooms available as part of the Homestay Host program.
It's not the biggest secret. Prince George is a bit strapped for accommodations when it comes to guests that are coming.
It was one of the biggest question marks leading up to the Winter Games, but accommodation staff say there's been an overwhelming response to a call for housing.
A lot of people are working or they're going to be out of town and they're not able to volunteer, but they still want to be part of the games, and this is a great way to, really help those families come from all across Canada. So
hotels in Prince George are entirely booked up for athletes, coaches, and other staff. Families have turned to other options like renting from listings on Kijiji.
And they're not all booked. There are quite a few that are still vacant, be it a room in a house, a basement suite, or a full home.
Game staff originally planned for some people to stay in Quesnel and Vanderhoof. It may not be a necessity, but some are still promoting the option. About 150 homes are also up on the Games website as part of the Homestay program. Those houses and rooms are evaluated by Game staff to make sure they're up to standard.
What we would see is a great opportunity for people who get there, see a lot of the activities, but yet are looking for some place just to go and regroup in between events.
Vanderhoof's mayor says his town is on the doorstep of nature, close to cross-country skiing trails and other outdoor activities. There's still no concrete plan to transport people to and from Vanderhoof during the games, but the primary focus is getting volunteers into Prince George.
My sense is as time goes on and we see what the opportunity is for us to have guests in our community get in and out morning and night, we're certainly going to be working with that as well.
But for those looking to stick close to the action, there are still opportunities to stay in Prince George for the largest sport and cultural event the city has ever seen. Ryan Kessler, CKPG News.
Coming up after a short break, a group of UNBC students looks to raise money to provide free transit during the games and a revamped curriculum for the game's Catch the Spirit program.